how much more will it take a millionaire to be happy? Guess what is the answer? $1 million more. $1 million more than the others. You know, the problem with us is you are never contented. That's why you need to understand it's a real problem. You got to be content. Turn to your neighbor one more time. Be content. If you don't learn to be content, you are in danger. It will affect your future. It will destroy you. Let me tell you what happened to my friend. I have a friend. He lives in the States. He will attend Bible study. And humanly speaking, he's made. He's okay. He paid his mortgage. He's able to retire. Attending Bible studies. And then, you know what happened to America, right? Many years ago, the housing boom. He became greedy. He became discontented. By the way, that's the whole purpose of television, of media, to create in you a desire for more. You know what he did? He mortgaged his house, that is already fully paid, in order to buy another house. And then the house went up in value. Wow! So what did he do? He mortgaged the house that he bought to buy another house. Wow! The price went up also. What happened? The housing bubble burst. People lost their job. The one renting their house gave up. He lost the new houses that he bought, including his original house. That's what the Bible is saying. It will ruin you. It will destroy you if you cannot control your appetite. Now, listen to me. The desire for more will always be there. You will live with that tension for the rest of your life. The desire for money will always be there. You got to just tell yourself, okay? Be content. Learn from God's perspective. Money, how much do you need? How much do you need? I remember attending a class, and our professor asked us, have you ever sat down and really computed how much do you need? And then begin to bless others with the rest of the money. You see, people don't realize contentment, once you learn this, will result in generosity. You got to see life from God's perspective. It's never meant for yourself. And that's why the Bible tells us, be content. Turn to your neighbor, be content. Yeah, be content. You are not so convincing. Just look at them. Okay, be content. Okay, be content. Yan, tama na yan. How many of you read the story of Leo Tolstoy? Have you heard of Leo Tolstoy? That he wrote a book. He wrote an article about how much do you need. He talked about a farmer. This farmer was happy. And then he heard somebody telling him, there's a place where you can have as much land as you want. And the farmer suddenly became unhappy. At night he began to think, wow, I should have more land. So you know what he did? He brought his family, went to this country, and he met the king and the people. And the people welcomed him, the king welcomed him, and the king said, it is true. You can have as much land as you want on one condition. In the morning, you must start. And start staking the property that you want. But before sunset, you must come back to the original place. Wow, he got so excited. The next morning, he got up early. He waited. Sunrise, boom, he began to walk, and he began to stake the land, all the land he wanted. Then he realized, I must not walk, I must run to have more land. So he began to run. He kept running. Then he got tired. It was already 12 o'clock noontime. 12 o'clock noontime. That means what? You should be going back. Am I correct? But he wanted more land. He said, I better not eat. I'm wasting time. So he began to run some more. Then before he knew it, it was already afternoon. Now, afternoon means what? You got to go back. Am I correct? So he decided, wow, the sun is getting lower. So he began to run. He kept running. You know, he began to bleed in his foot. He kept running. He was so tired. And then he saw the hill. He was thinking, oh no, because the sun was behind the hill already. So he climbed the hill. He was thinking he's going to make it. When he reached on top of the hill, wow, the sun was not yet exactly down, but there's another hill to go. So he kept running and running. And finally, all of his family, everybody was frantic. The king was there waiting for him before sunset. Man, he kept running and running. His heart was about to burst. He kept running and running. And finally, he climbed. He dragged himself up. He reached at the foot where he began, and he collapsed. And he never woke up again. So he died. He had a heart attack. He died. So what did the people do? They dug a grave for him. 2 by 6. How much land do you need? 2 feet by 6 feet. Now, before you laugh at this farmer, many of us are like this farmer in the story. Never contented. Look at your own life. Are you thankful to the Lord? Are you thankful for your family? For your circumstances? You see, contentment is an attitude of the heart. It's okay to ask God. If you're single, it's okay to ask God, Lord, I like to be married. But if you don't want to be married, it's perfectly fine. Now, why do I say this? Because I have met many people who are joyful. They have learned to be contented. In fact, years ago, I was asking my wife permission to share her story. When my wife left San Francisco, that beautiful place, and came to the Philippines, her first house was beside a place where they dump garbage. And my wife told me, every morning, when she would leave her house, she would see the garbage. And then the Lord spoke to my wife. The Lord said, look up. My wife looked up. She saw the sky. She said, praise God. The sky is the same all over the world. Manila sky, San Francisco sky, it's all blue, and praise God. So my wife said when she will pass through the garbage dump, she does not look at the garbage. What does she look at? The sky. My wife learned to have joy in the midst of certain circumstances. And then God moved her to another place. She told me she was paying the highest rent. There's a group of single missionaries, but she got the worst room. Now imagine, you don't pay equally. You pay more because you have more support. And the rest are living in a bigger room. Now, how will you feel? Discontented. But you know what? She again surrendered. You see, contentment is surrendered to the will of God. It is submission to the will of God. So she learned to be grateful. And I discovered why she went through all of that. God was training my wife to marry me. So by the time she met me, by the time we got married, seriously, I've never heard my wife complain about anything. I really thank God for my wonderful wife. Does not complain about anything. I remember my first job. I was only earning 2,500 pesos. We were eating galongdong and kamote taps. But we never felt poor. My wife never say, I wish we had more money. Never. Our water, we don't have hot water. We only have natural water. But my wife never complained because she learned contentment. Because contentment eventually is a choice. It's a perspective. Can you turn to your neighbor, tell neighbor, be content. That's crucial. Now, most people do not connect verse 11 with verse 10. Read verse 11. Flee from these things, you man of God. Pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, perseverance, gentleness. Pursue these things. Flee from what? Flee from materialism. Flee from the love of money. You see, we always think of flee from immorality. No, no, no. You not only run from immorality, you run from any form of covetousness. Because covetousness will snare us. It will get us. I know of a leader, a man of God. Used to be a man of God. But for whatever reason, he did not guard his heart. He began to love money again. When he began to love money again, I saw how he gave up the ministry for the sake of money. I saw how he began to compromise biblical principle for the sake of money. When your heart is not right, you begin to reinterpret the Bible. You begin to interpret the Bible to justify your behavior. And my heart went out for him. And I saw how he began to go down. Because contentment is the only antidote, if you ask me, against materialism. Let's read this together. Idolatry is trusting people or possessions to do for me what only God can do. If you want money to satisfy the emptiness of your soul, money becomes your idol. If it is relationship becomes your idol. You see, contentment is saying, God, you are enough. God, you are more than enough. You are in love with the Lord. The problem with us is this. All of us have a God-shaped vacuum. By nature, you have a vacuum. Now, the law of vacuum is very simple. When there's a vacuum, it must be filled. So how do you fill the emptiness? For some people, it's computer games. For young people, they're bored. For some people, it's relationship. They need to have a boyfriend, they need to have a girlfriend. For some people, it's money. For some people, it's career. For some people, believe it me or not, it is ministry. They need to have ministry to satisfy the emptiness of their soul. It is not filled by God. They don't understand this concept because nobody has taught them. So you want to fill this with created things. It will continuously leave you empty. That's called idolatry. Now let me ask you, how do you know idolatry is in your heart? Very simple. You ask yourself, what will really make you angry when it is taken away from you? What will cause you depression when it is taken away from you? What are you counting on for your security? That will really make you angry when it's taken away from you. Whatever that thing is, that's your idolatry. And that's why the Bible tells us, be content. You can only be content when you put God as the center of your life. You know, I love this psalmist. Let's read this together. Whom have I in heaven but you? Besides you, I desire nothing on earth. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Is this possible to be contented with Jesus alone? Yes. Christianity is something you must not only know in the head. You need to experience this. But you will not experience this many times until you go through the school of hard knocks. Let me repeat. Many things in life you will not experience, you will not know. Let me repeat. You will not believe, you will not know until you experience. If I bake you a cake, okay, will you believe me if I say, you know what, I know how to bake a cake, and this cake is good? How will you know this cake is good? What must you do? Taste it. But if you will not taste it, will you know that my cake is good? Yes or no? Why? Because you won't taste it. What must I do to make you taste it? Let's say I give you a cake. You refuse to taste it. I mean well, but you refuse. So what should I do to make sure you will taste it? There are many ways. But one of the most effective way I know of is very simple. I will lock you up in a room and not give you food for 3 days. Just give you water. And then on the 4th day, here's my cake. Would you like to taste it? What will you do? You will taste it. And then once you taste it, what will you say? Wow, it's good, Peter. It is good. Now, you see the difference? Now, the same thing in life. When God tells you He's more than enough, most of us don't believe this. So you're always running after relationships, money, and that is why God allows us to have problems at times. So don't be angry at problems. Because God is telling you, you are missing out on what's best. And in my love for you, I want to show you what's best.